What is going on, guys? This is the Poke Tea Time Podcast, not for long, where we serve you up a cup of the hottest takes on what's going on in the Pokemon community. Yes, it's just me, myself, and I. The guest that I had basically could not come because he didn't realize that this was a live podcast. So we're just going to rock it solo because we kind of have been doing that. I hope everyone has had a wonderful weekend. And I know I did. I just got back in from Atlanta from my sister's engagement ceremony. Some of you may have saw the pictures through the story, so that's what it was. It wasn't the wedding itself. It was just the engagement ceremony. And it was just a good time. It was a good time being around family. But now that we're back, it's time to rock and roll. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. So just a heads up, just before we get right into any sort of news, I'm going to go ahead and open up my drink. The new logo is currently in the works right now as we speak. The animation will follow suit afterwards. And I'm really looking forward to it. The name has been finalized, so it's now the Vaulted Podcast, as in like something you throw in a vault, it gets vaulted. Lingo that's used in video games. What's going to happen is that the podcast is going to start off by talking about things that I'm mostly well accustomed to and well learned about to a certain extent, whether it's Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, and other collectibles that span within that space. And then as this channel grows, I want to essentially become not only a student, but in the process become an expert in other fields, whether it's Lego collecting or anything of the sort. And the way I'll learn is by having people that are forefronts of those particular niches of that hobby in here. So we might have Alex Hodges from Weiss Schwarz. Well, he doesn't work for Weiss Schwarz, but he is a huge collector in the Weiss Schwarz hobby. We'll have people who do trophy cards and Pokemon. We'll have people who are heavily involved in sports, people who love collecting Disney-based objects, sneakers, everything, pretty much everything, even Funkos as well. So I'm very ecstatic to see where this channel grows, and I think this is a good pivot in the right direction. We have people in the chat. We have Professor Oak, aka Professor Oak. We have Artemis1700 in the chat, and we have everyone else who's in the chat. Thank you guys for coming this evening. I hope you guys are all doing well. So today's theme is called, the title's called, Should What Not Be Worried Because of eBay Live? I want to know your thoughts in the comment section or in the live chat as we, delve deeper into this conversation tonight. Not sure how long this live will particularly go because we do not have an actual guest for tonight. I know next week at 7 p.m., we have Charlie Herlocker, the legend, Charlie Herlocker. He will be on the podcast next Tuesday. So at 7 p.m., not 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at 7 p.m. So make sure you're here. Make sure you're ready to rock and roll and ask tons and tons of questions. But we're going to be talking about Whatnot and eBay Live. So eBay Live officially went live. I guess they gave us a good showcase of it last week. I took time to actually go into live and watch it and see it kind of take place. On there was DJ Ski and Jess, aka Breaks with Jess from Bleecker, from the Bleecker store up in New York City. I love Bleecker. Bleecker's great. They treat me like family. The last time I was up there, I'm kind of excited to see what eBay Live does. In a way, it kind of had the same sort of functionality as Whatnot. And it's kind of crazy how fast this was going to happen. Would I say that this was bound to happen? Absolutely. I think that for very successful companies like eBay or Pokemon or just successful companies in general, I think it's important to know that they don't really try or do anything new or innovative. They let smaller companies or startups try these new things out. And if it works out fantastically, these huge companies just kind of steal the idea, or they'll just reverse engineer the idea itself and make it their own thing versus having to pay loads and loads of money to buy out whatever company there is. Is Whatnot going to be worried about eBay? I think the answer is yes. I mean, like, why would they not be worried, right? eBay has numerous amounts of resources behind it. You're talking about a company called Whatnot that, as of September of last year, had an estimated valuation at $1.5 billion. So I'd probably say, I don't know, maybe $2 billion. It might be at 1.5 still at an evaluation, especially in a bear market. Could be a little bit less. Mind you, it's still a valuation, so that number could be that number could definitely be an overvaluation for sure. And then you have eBay, which has a estimated value or a net worth at $25 billion, $24.85 billion. They have the resources to stomp out people like Whatnot. Before eBay Live was a thing, we would go to these different conventions and you'd see places like Drip show up. You would see people talking about Loop or Network or anything of the sort. And we know from this year and last year and the year before that Whatnot has become a huge powerhouse. They kind of created this sort of they kind of cornered the market very, very heavily, and they kind of taken everything by storm. And so by doing so, eBay has no choice to give them the attention they deserve. And the answer to that was by creating eBay Live. Emmanuel Kuhn, long time no see. I hope all is well. We're just talking about the launch of eBay Live and what that can mean to Whatnot. Tonight's guest was going to be a very, very big seller on Whatnot, and I wanted to probe his thoughts about being a Whatnot seller and what that can mean. And as this channel grows, we're going to have many, many different kinds of people who are big on Whatnot as far as sales go, whether it's going twice, only hollows, LPA. I do want to have those guys on the podcast soon because I'd love to get an idea of how their thought processes are on Whatnot and what that can mean. Are they as confident as they are now as they were before the launch of eBay Live? Are we going to see a lot of people try to rub elbows with eBay Live? I'm seeing that. I'm kind of seeing that already. And I don't know what that means. Is Whatnot's answer to eBay's Live by lowering their seller's fee, by lowering fees altogether, by making it much more of an incentive for sellers to sell on their platform? I think right now it sits at 11.9%. So 2.9% of that belongs to PayPal in terms of fees, whereas eBay is not too far above that. There's just a lot more things that are going on. There's even that aspect of buying something off of eBay Live and immediately sending that to the eBay Vault. And I want to have a conversation about vaults next week. So just to give you a brief synopsis of what we were potentially talking about next week with Charlie Herlocker, the legend himself, we're going to be talking about PWCC Vault, Beckett's Vault, eBay's Vault. All these different vaults are popping up. So what does that mean for the hobby? Where is this hobby headed towards? And I'm pretty excited to talk about that a little bit more next week. But to get us back on track about the conversations that's going on. Hey, what's going on, Basic Trainer? Artemis says, I can see that eBay responds to prevent potentially losing some market consumers to Whatnot due to live format. Yeah, like that is eBay's answer to all the attention that Whatnot's been getting. We see Whatnot at every convention, and their footprint is absolutely massive. It's absolutely massive. And Emmanuel is right. In a bear market, usually the bigger bulls take over the smaller ones, and that's 100%. Whatnot is not a fully established company. It's not even public yet. They still have to answer to a lot of investors. I see that a lot of their money could be put into marketing. I don't know how much of that money goes to marketing, but I feel like it's a lot. And I don't feel like a lot of the retention to their sellers is as high either. I feel like I hear more and more stories as each day passes that I hear about some disgruntled seller on Whatnot because they feel like they might be getting shadow banned, or they're not getting the same level of preferential treatment as some of the bigger sellers on Whatnot have. And we know that there is a lot of preferential treatment. And mind you, this isn't a dig or an attack at Whatnot or an attack at eBay. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. I think there's so much more room for each of these platforms to grow. I don't think Whatnot is going to be fully stomped out. I think it comes down to them maybe potentially signing contracts with a lot of their big sellers, or incentivizing some sort of thing within their existing platform to keep their sellers there, right? When I first got onto Whatnot, mind you, I got on Whatnot as one of the very earliest sellers in terms of their card department. So first it was Pokemon. There was no sports card department. It was just Pokemon cards. And I believe at that time, the selling rate that I had was at 8%. I don't have that 8% anymore because there was nothing in writing about that. It was just that initial selling point for me was that it was at 8% at that time. Mind you, at that time, I didn't really feel like a need to sell on that platform. I was just doing it just to test it out, just to see if there was anything, just to see if there was any merit to doing so. But now it's at 11.9%, and that's still a lot of money, right? Like, the biggest selling point for Whatnot was that I could easily go on that platform and just move loads and loads of inventory at a snap of my finger. And with Whatnot now, it's kind of like it's kind of making it seem as if I as a seller, well, if I was a seller and I had loads and loads of inventory, why would I want to just sit on it and go live every single day just for Whatnot when I can also put all of that on eBay as is and passively sell this massive amount of inventory that I currently have sitting around, especially in a bear market like this, right? I think sellers on Whatnot are either struggling or they don't know that they're struggling. They don't understand that they're probably losing money because they probably don't have their financials up. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like Whatnot sellers are going to start hurting because we're in a bear market. Between conversations that I have between myself and other people, normal cards that were easy to sell maybe just a few months ago have become absolutely difficult to sell. Even high-end cards in the worst of conditions where there's loads and loads of PSA 1 collectors out there, those cards are also very hard to sell. And instead you have more people who are trying to, more collectors that are trying to capitalize on what's actually happening in this current market by trading up versus actually having to spend whatever money that they currently have to buy these collectibles. And so with Whatnot sellers hurting and the consumers of Whatnot hurting, I don't know what's going to happen with Whatnot. And right now I know that Whatnot is currently expanding. They're currently growing in terms of their employee base. So I don't know. I would love to have someone, from the Whatnot side who does normally sell on a regular basis, who is a top seller on that platform. And I would like to have the other spectrum of that. I want to have someone who stops selling on Whatnot just to get, both spectrums of the conversation. Because I know that the people who are having an amazing time with Whatnot are probably getting some level of preferential treatment. Their fees are probably really, really low. They probably have some sort of deal with CGC. It's kind of crazy. But what everyone else in the chat is currently saying, they're absolutely correct, right? Whatnot is about a culture. And, this is not an insult to the people who are on Whatnot, but it's more like a degen culture. That's what it's kind of called, right? People are more than willing to do buttloads of giveaways to grow their following on that platform, or sell things at a loss because that's the culture, right? That's the culture of Whatnot. Whereas like eBay just seems like much more of a safer place. And I'm not saying Whatnot isn't safe. It's just one of those things that even though Whatnot is kind of built on the entertainment aspect of the platform, we're about to be in a spot in the economy where disposable income isn't going to be as prevalent or as high within this hobby as it used to. People are going to start questioning whether or not I should be bidding for things on Whatnot. Like, that's what I see it coming to. Does eBay? I feel like eBay just has so much more capital to kind of weather the storm, and I feel like Whatnot might too. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen within the Whatnot space, especially at conventions. I feel like for those of us who do go to a lot of these shows, we get a really good idea of what's actually happening in the market at first glance. Like, I know Lucario Forever is there. I know TapLab is there. I know a lot of these people, a lot of you guys that are in the chat right now, we all know what these shows are like. You know, just to kind of ask you guys questions right now so that we can kind of go through it in the chat right now. What do you guys seem to think has been kind of happening since Orlando's Collecticon versus Dallas and then Charlotte, for those guys who did go to Charlotte, versus what's going to happen at the National? What are some of your observations or projections as to what's going to happen? Emmanuel Kuhn says it's going to be hard for Whatnot to exist unless they make massive changes. Absolutely, I agree. And honestly, I don't know why they felt like it was necessary to increase their fees for sellers. I don't know why. I feel like that was a competitive thing. I think keeping it at 8% was what made Whatnot super competitive, right? Like, you have all these different places like Network who are trying to make it much more enticing to say, like, hey, if you just sell for like 30 minutes on our platform, we'll pay you they'll give you a check. Like, I know of someone that's getting $750 every single week just for going live on Network's platform for only 30 minutes. Right? It's that sort of incentivizing that I think that Whatnot will have to kind of go back to remain competitive against eBay. Mind you, if I'm not mistaken, someone could definitely correct me on this as well. I believe eBay's selling fee is 13 point something percent, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit higher than Whatnot, but the aspect that Whatnot has, that eBay has, is that I can list things up and pretty much sell things in my sleep if I wanted to on that platform. Expo Game says, but if eBay throws money, typically no one is loyal when it comes to money. People move over 100%. So if eBay does start throwing money, even at the biggest sellers on Network or Whatnot, there's going to be a huge change. There's going to be a huge shift. What's going to keep the biggest sellers on Whatnot there? I already know of one that's already making that move right now, and he too called for this. Like, I said that I knew that this was going to happen. The moment eBay started making much more of a prevalent, started becoming more prevalent within the collectibles space last year, especially in the trading card world, I knew, as well as sneakers, I knew that this was where it was going to head towards. I knew that this was what it's going to happen. I knew that this was going to happen. This plus the vault makes it much more of a better experience. I could buy numerous amounts of slabs and just keep it at eBay's vault. I don't even have to see those cards. So does that make, that difference between eBay's percentages in terms of fees versus Whatnot's fees that much more, does that change anyone's mind? Because, like, personally speaking, if I buy something off of eBay and eBay is 12.9, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Whatnot is 11.9, like, I would much rather go the eBay route and then just buy my things and send it off to a vault, especially if I'm not trying to collect something, or if I'm just solely holding on to it in terms of inventory. If I buy such a massive card and I'm in the middle of a move and I'm moving somewhere, or I want to go to a show, then I want to have it in the eBay vault. Because let's say I go to a show like Collecticon, or if I go to the National, right? If I buy all this inventory off of eBay's site, maybe I could, like, trade cards without even having to carry my cards in Atlantic City, which is kind of dangerous, right? Like I don't want to show up with a case of even like $5,000 worth of cards at some places sometimes. I think like nowadays I bring my case of cards because I just never really know what kind of opportunities are going to pop up within the trading space, right? Like I was this close to trading probably every single Pokemon card I had, graded Pokemon card I had in Miami just for a Pokemon Snap contest card. Like I was this close. But then, people kind of talk me down away from it. And, I'm okay with that. I don't regret not making that deal. But I think that's the upside of it, right? I know a lot of people, a lot of collectors these days have a lot of their expensive cards and collectibles and boxes just out in the open, right? Some could be on a kitchen table. Some could be on a back display. And what happens if there's a fire? What happens if there's theft, right? So I think like eBay's moving at the direction where it's very, very strategic, and it's getting to the point where I feel like eBay might actually snuff out Whatnot unless Whatnot makes it much more. If Whatnot were to go back to 8%, I feel like much more people, like I feel like a lot of people would be more than content with selling on that platform. Give sellers a better experience, work on their platform, because when I went on eBay's live, it was smooth, it was clean. Granted, it was the only live up, but it was very smooth, it was very clean, and honestly, I had a good time watching it kind of take place. I think I hear an ambulance going by. Someone probably called the ambulance for Whatnot. I'm just kidding. Whatnot has something going. It's not just dead or dying. They have very smart and talented people figuring out they can update fast. These bigger companies take forever to understand and change it. Absolutely. And that's the upside of it, right? Whatnot being relatively young, I think they could be much better at being able to pivot and adjust to what's actually happening. Now, I don't think I did say that Whatnot is going to die. I think that this is just a wake-up call. If Whatnot doesn't change things, eBay is going to snuff them out. Whatnot has to be able to change. Yeah, they're coming for me, man. All these people these days coming for me. No, I mean, I think that's probably a good move. Expo Games slowly buying eBay stock since January. I mean, I'm ready to be an investor of collector. No, I don't think I'm that liquid to be an investor of collector, but I'm a full fan of the application. If you haven't downloaded, make sure you do so. We'll talk more about collector here in a second. I think it's gonna be really cool. I think what eBay has to offer is awesome, and I think it's super important for all of us to understand that for those of us who are consumers, this is great for all of us, because the more competition, the better, right? The more competition creates a much better experience for consumers, and I think it's just better for sellers to begin with as well, right? When you have more options versus just the one option versus the biggest guy in the room, I think it creates for much opportunity for sellers to find. Man, they're still coming after me, man. You good? You good? No, I feel like it creates much more opportunity for sellers to finally sell in a comfortable fashion where they end up being a lot happier versus feeling like things are kind of out of their control, right? Like I know a lot of Whatnot sellers are unhappy, but does that mean it's too late? I know that Whatnot itself has a lot of issues with the app. Like I feel like actually I'm pretty sure just today alone, I got numerous text messages from Whatnot. Let me see. No, yeah, this is all yesterday. So all of yesterday, I got numerous messages with issues with the app and the website not loading. Now, I feel like eBay has the resources available to not have to deal with those issues. Now, I'm not saying that there's not going to be any issues at all with eBay, but I just feel like a lot of these things are probably going to be ironed out a lot faster than let's say Whatnot is. It's just how fast can Whatnot adapt to all this. Post a video of you running as fast as you can. I mean, yo, I'm super fast. You guys want to see me run to here and let's say Paris and back? Because I'll do it right now. Ready, set, go. You want to see me do it again? Artemis says, eBay seems to be playing the strategy game. They drop the live format to test the market and see what responses occur, and maybe the reactions are slower. And then Expo Game says, eBay has a global shipping program. And then Dash, Whatnot would need to figure out global logistics because shipping to Canada is a nightmare. But that's something that would help globalizing Whatnot like eBay has, 100%. And I think if Whatnot starts to collaborate or work with other existing application companies that make for or curate a much better experience for the consumer or seller, I think that's just the name of the game. I think being able to kind of go back to the roots of what Whatnot is by working with content creators and creating this sort of space or this sort of by creating this sort of space for collectors to kind of exist and have a good time, then I think that's the biggest thing. I think consumers can have a great time if sellers are having a great time selling it. But like the moment something isn't really going the way a seller is having issues, I think that's a problem. I think the biggest thing out of all of this is that we're in a bear market. So this is a buyer's market and not a seller's market. It is a collector's market. If you are a collector, especially in this sort of economy, I think, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to get the cards that you've always wanted in your collection, right? Today, I just saw someone that is selling a Beckett 9 first edition Neo Genesis Lugia for $1,900. And I can guarantee you he's probably not firm at that price. He's probably going to sell it for a little bit less. For a PSA 8, for a PSA 8 first edition Neo Genesis Lugia, like I remember, the cost of that being that much before the boom. There's a lot of cards that have kind of retraced very heavily. And I think it's super important for a lot of people to just be patient. I think that's the biggest thing. I think I covered everything that Whatnot had to, with Whatnot and eBay selling platforms. I was kind of hoping to have my guest here to kind of like just discuss the ins and outs of it all. So just to give you guys much better numbers, there was an interactive chart of historical net worth for eBay over the last 10 years. How much a company's worth is typically represented by its market capitalization or the current stock price multiplied by the number of shares outstanding. So eBay's net worth as of June 27th of this year is $24.85 billion, which is absolutely crazy. I think the highest it ever was back in, based off this chart, was in 2015 at $80 billion. I think that was the net worth at that time. Obviously, things have definitely corrected very heavily. And I'm using macrotrends.net to kind of look at that specific number right there. There's not much information in regards to Whatnot and its financials because it is not a public company. But I'm looking at TechCrunch right now, and obviously, like the last known piece of articles that were written about it was that it raised $150 million, giving it a valuation at $1.5 billion on its Series C investment. Just to give you guys a reminder, Logan Paul invested into that, Zion Williamson invested on that, and you guys can actually go back to this channel if you want to, where we had Craig from Whatnot Craig on this platform answering questions that I threw at him based on the platform of Whatnot. And this was like right when the article came out that Whatnot did get $150 million for their Series C last year. So definitely go give it a check, go give it a look and see. Let me know what your thoughts are. Expo Game says 100%. Have you seen weekly PWCC Sunday auctions? About 20 to 30 price spread compared to eBay. Amazing time to snipe cards in PWCC right now. 100%. I personally think that there's a little bit more room for cards to go down in value. I think that we're just at the cusp of a recession. So I think a lot of cards are still going to be on a decline. I don't think people should be worried just yet. Actually, I think being worried kind of depends on where you kind of enter the market and what time you enter the market and how much you spent at that particular point in that market. I think Whatnot hit unicorn status last year, cracking $1 billion. Yes, they raised 3 rounds in a single year. 2021 was a year that had most insane valuations. I agree. There was a lot of things that had insane valuations. Everything had an insane valuation. That's where we're kind of in this position today, right? Even houses have insane valuations, and we're going to start seeing, we could see a decline in that. I'm definitely curious to see how Whatnot sellers respond to eBay Live. LOL, we're going into a deeper recession and Expo Games is trying to snipe. I mean, it depends. Like, honestly, I would be sniping too. Depending on how liquid you are, I think it might be a great time. Bro, prices are going to drop even more. I fully agree on that. I just saw someone list to sell a Beckett 8.5 first edition Shadowless Charizard card at $8,300. $8,300. Mind you, just a few months ago, that valuation was roughly worth $1,300, $1,500. You know, for a PSA 8 first edition Shadowless Charizard card in 2020, the card was worth anywhere between in 2020, $35,000 to $40,000, down to $8,500. I would be very concerned if I was someone who has put in a lot of money post 2020, because even 2019 price, like, we're pretty much right at 2019 prices. And for a lot of people who are kind of concerned about like Pokemon and, you know, the people that were, you know, upset about how fast and how unaffordable vintage Pokemon cards are, well, here's your opportunity. If you've been super liquid, if you haven't been spending your money willy-nilly and you've just been saving up for an opportunity like this, this is the time. We won't ever see probably an opportunity like this ever again. And I'm not saying this as an investment advice. I'm just saying, like, this is probably your chance to get the cards that you've always wanted as far as your collection goes. Likely bear market for 2 years, but again, no one has a crystal ball. It's extremely unlikely, but I will buy as it dips 100%. I think it's all about cost averaging. It likely isn't for sure. Foreclosures and defaults are happening in Canada, especially at the next rate height. Yes, I think it's currently happening right now. I see, and I've been hearing talks of a lot of people who are in the real estate biz who own properties that are currently switching over their houses from sales to rental properties. So it's definitely going to change. I think where we're headed towards is a time in this space where it's going to be testing, right? We're going to see a lot of people who are, you know, quote unquote investors. And there's nothing wrong with being an investor in a hobby. I don't like how people are giving a negative stigma towards investors into any sort of hobby. I think that's awesome. If you're just purely an investor in this space, I think that's cool. But, you know, depending on where you got in this market, you're going to be hurting. And I think a lot of quote unquote, I think a lot of investors are going to be wanting to get, you know, a fraction of what they put into it, right? I myself, I'm always going to collect. I see this as a hobby and a collecting aspect first before I see it as an investment, right? Obviously, anything that I do buy, I don't want it to depreciate in value, but that's just the sort of thing that you kind of have to live with. Everything that you do have, that you buy, that is a collectible, is either going to go up or down in value. And if you're someone who's like myself, who is conscientious about how you spend your money, I think it's important, like, because obviously for me, I was taught and I was raised to have respect for money. And what that means is not wasting any money. And so for me, if I spend $1, I want that dollar to be there. I don't like losing $1. Like, even though I'm in a pretty comfortable position in my life where I can throw money at certain things, I still get salty when I lose money. And yeah, I think it's also kind of important to know and understand that every market is hurting right now. The crypto market is bleeding heavily. Every market is bleeding. It's just markets like these that kind of shift this power balance for the older generations to us, right? We're going to start seeing a huge shift where a lot of boomers, a lot of money is going to start shifting from the hands of those to us, to our generation, to Gen Z people. And I think it's going to just be an awesome time, honestly. I'm not concerned, honestly. Yeah, I do have slabs that I'd like to sell, but even if I don't sell them, I'm not really in a position where I'm like really concerned or worried. I got a lot of the cards that I've wanted for fractions of what the market value is currently, and I'm content with that. Then now there are cards that I do buy from time to time that might be the current market value for that particular card, or if that's a card that doesn't necessarily have a sales history, I'm more than happy to buy that card based on how I'm feeling about it, right? Based on what I think it's worth. Because at that point, maybe the seller is more than likely to give with what I'm trying to ask for. Again, it is a buyer's market. If you're one of those types of people who can afford to go to these shows, or if you're one of those types of people who has a decent amount of liquidity, you can literally just find someone who's going to go to a show and act as a middleman to buy these cards. I'll pay $5,000 for BGS PSA 9 first edition Shadow of a Charizard card right now. I mean, it would not surprise me if if my Beckett 9 first edition Shadow of a Charizard card went down to $5,000. I would not be surprised. Would I be worried? Not really, because that's kind of how much I put into acquiring that card in terms of traveling, in terms of gas, in terms of the cost of the cards that I bought them at as far as grading. Yeah, shoot. If a Beckett 9 first edition Shadow of Charizard card went down to a $5,000 valuation, I would buy two of them. Knowing that the ceiling price of that particular card once held a commanding price point of $75,000 to $90,000. You bet your butt I'm gonna buy a couple of more of those. Because if the market is on a downturn for the next 2 years, and I know that Pokemon A is going to go back up, that's an easy bet. That's a safe bet. It just comes down to being able to put money behind the things that you like, that you're passionate about. I think that's the biggest thing that us as collectors need to really focus on. This isn't an investment-based podcast. This is a collector's podcast. And I want to make sure that this podcast does justice by that, right? This podcast isn't about talking about people that are starting drama within this hobby. This podcast isn't about talking crap about what other piece of content someone else is doing. This podcast is solely here to create value for you guys, the audience, because I think that's what it's worth. I think that's where the value is. I think that's what you guys are here for. And I'd be wasting your time if I was talking about someone who's completely irrelevant when I could be talking about something that's worth value, where it creates it creates a level of thought. It creates this level of discussion between you and myself, because even though I'm here in front of the camera talking to you guys, it's a open discussion. It's this discussion between you and I, the live chat. This podcast would not be a podcast, and I certainly would not want it to have it a podcast if it just meant me hitting record and then just posting it up. I only want to have a podcast if it's live with you guys. Waifus are recession proof, 100%. Dark Magician Girl, Chef's Kiss, Beelzemon, AA alternative art is recession proof. I am buying more Digimon stuff. Tab Lab can tell you guys that I just bought like a couple of Shikishis with Kenji Watanabe, which is like the Ken Sugimori of Digimon. Like he had like an etched signature within the Shikishi, which I think is cool. Kind of like the signatures that you see in White Schwartz cards, which I think is super cool. I plan on getting them PSA graded, especially when PSA prices are going down. Honestly, we're kind of getting back to like 29 kind of like this 29 era of what we experienced. For those guys who were in 2019 here in this hobby in 2019, I kind of see that going on, right? Like I feel like PSA Beckett CGC, all these companies are going to be lowering their price points. They're all going to have to step up in terms of their community customer service, because in a bear market, I think it's super important for them to remain competitive. Otherwise, they're going to lose their edge. I think we're going to see that $10 submission back from PSA, just like Nat Turner said he would like to see again. And, I think it's going to be an awesome time in the hobby. I think with prices kind of coming down at a stand, like we're going back to 29 era, I'm hoping that our community as well as a whole will kind of cool down a little bit, and we go back to where we have content and discussions around cards and the people that kind of make the hobby what it is today, and just overall positive influences overall. I think that's what it kind of needs to go back to. Artemis says, I got to say, out of all the podcasts I watch and listen to, this is the one where I learn the most and get some of the most realistic and unbiased views on collectibles. Hey, that's a positive review. That's a live, actual review here. And I appreciate that, Artemis. I value your opinion, and I'm glad that is a unbiased review. Thank you. Modern Digimon is badass. I agree, and I can't wait to be talking more about other TCGs, whether it's an indie TCG or older TCGs or even dead TCGs on this channel, because I think all of us cross collect, and I think in a time where Pokemon isn't booming, it's important to talk about other collectibles that are out there, and who knows, you might find something or you might see something that you might like, right? I show people a wide range of things when it comes to collectibles or toys or even expired Pokemon food that for some reason people like to crap on me about, but I think that there's people out there that appreciate that, and I think that's where I want to kind of go back to. If the price, Taplap says our cards will be worth $5 by the time $10 submissions return. Hey, I'm still okay with that, because at the end of the day, even if the valuation is diminished to a very, very high extent, we also have to understand that sourcing these cards as well as being able to get these cards or pull these cards in terms of their rarity is still there. Rarity is still an aspect that will not go away. If the price of the cards beat the price of a booster pack you pull it out of and you enjoy cracking packs, IMHO, that's a win. Yes, there was a time where you could open up vintage booster boxes, get all the cards, grade those cards, and then sell it all, and you got much more of a return for breaking a box versus actually, and this is just for yourself. This is not like breaking on Whatnot or breaking for anyone in particular. This was just breaking for yourself, grading all the cards, all the hits, and then selling them as is. As of late, I think boxes kind of have outpaced what the cards are in terms of value. And I feel like that sort of relationship between boxes to cards will always change. And, eventually it might level out at the same spot. You get money back or more with lucky pulls while enjoying the hobby. Yeah. And who knows? Back in 2019, I used to see third-party products at Walmart. This is in 2019. Third-party products at Walmart on the disc that were discounted, and you could see Flashfire packs in them. That's what I remember. And so I think we're slowly getting back to that. We're getting there, and we're in a great time for the hobby. Shoot, even 2 years ago when the Pokemon community was booming and cards were flying off the shelves, that was a great time for the hobby. I think this is a great time of the hobby. I think whether it's up or down, I think it's great across the board, because it's all about when you get in and how you get out and how you move things in that kind of fashion, and just kind of how you curate your collection. Emmanuel Kuhn said, yeah, LMO, yeah, I like what I did with Typhlosion. I bought raw, sold it at 9.5 for 5,500 Dimmer Boom. Same card is worth 50%. Yeah, and Emmanuel, if you remember, a lot of the cards that you did have, that you did sell, didn't sell for quite as high as you thought, as high as you wanted to, But if you look back now, if you look at the prices now versus what you actually sold it for, I bet you feel like you did the right decision, right? You did the right decision. You sold at still a good time. Expo Game says, also remember sets during a recession, like upcoming sets may not get the same print runs due to lower demand, especially if they are sales. Maybe worth picking up a few. I'm talking a year from now. Yes, and yes. So, I always go back to Sun and Moon because that was an era of Pokemon where we started seeing a slight increase of production of these cards, but not to the full, not quite the extent of what Sword and Shield was. Sword and Shield was printed out the wazoo. It was printed out the wazoo. It was printed like crazy. And it's still being printed like crazy. I expect the Pokemon Go sets to be printed like crazy. And I think cards will be printed like crazy. I think the biggest thing for someone who might not have the biggest budget to ball out on is that to pay attention to when the market kind of levels out, where the hobby seems a little bit too quiet and where Pokemon is no longer cool. I always think Pokemon is going to be cool, but like, you know what I mean. Where Pokemon is not as cool, it's not as poppin', you're going to run into that one set that has a massive chase where the quality control is piss poor, and that will be the set to focus on, right? We all know of the PSA 10 values of the Hyper Rare Charizard GX from Burning Shadows. That card in its price point stands very well because it is a very hard card to pull. It is a very, very hard card to pull in a PSA 10 condition. But yeah, and just like Emmanuel said, it's a good time to speculate on other TCGs as well. Even some of these newer TCGs like Cryptic, Akora, and hey, who knows? Maybe MetaZoo might be that thing. MetaZoo's not my thing, and if you're that person that's focusing on MetaZoo, so be it. But I think it's important to not put from an investing standpoint, from only an investing standpoint, I think it's important to diversify a little bit. But also, the collector in me is like, just collect what you like, diversify into the things that you might have interest in, and even if the value goes down, you're still happy with what you have. Like, I bought this card this weekend, right? I bought this for $350. This is a Beckett 9.5 SS title Eon ticket that goes from Lily Cove City to the Southern Island. And you can only get this from either a Nintendo Power magazine or from the E3 event in 2003. They both came, the magazine and the E3 event happened in 2003. This was the back. Well, technically, this is the front. This is the front. Beckett put it in backwards. But yeah, I think it's super important for collectors across the board to just buy the things that you've always wanted, buy the things that you think are cool. Don't again, I think the advice that I've been giving out since we've had Pokemonster, as well as Hadoken Nito, as well as a bunch of other people, to not overextend. Spend within your means. And I know for a fact a lot of us are going to have to dial back our spending a little bit just to be able to enjoy the hobby that we currently have. I know some of us won't be able to buy booster boxes, and you might have to go back to just buying a few packs a week, and that's still fine, right? Yeah, I always get random things. I have a few random things at Beckett right now, and I think I get to know the grades by this week. Some high-end vintage Digimon, as well as some random Pokemon stuff that doesn't really pop up too often. So I'm really, really excited about that. But yeah, I think it's just super important to just kind of be a little bit more open-minded. If you don't collect sports, maybe try giving it a shot. You know, if you like Yu-Gi-Oh, definitely give it a shot. If you like Pokemon, definitely give it a shot. If you like a lot of these different TCGs and you want to check the trends and values across the board, check out the Collector app. The Collector app is my number one tool, and I think it's the most advanced tool in tracking numerous amounts of TCGs, as well as Funkos, as well as basketball cards. And I just see so much upward potential. I see so much trajectory within this application. It's not even funny. Like you're going to be seeing so many positive changes for it. And it's an app for collectors by collectors, and I mean that. I genuinely believe that. And this is not a sponsored thing for me to say. I'm not sponsored by Collector. This is just me being a huge advocate of the platform because I think you guys would definitely find the value behind it. And if you have any criticisms or concerns about the application, make sure you let them know through Twitter or Instagram. Collector. You can see it on the middle of your screen right there at the very center bottom. Just to kind of quickly go through our sponsors. Man, I did not think I was going to talk for over 50 minutes. I did not think I could on this topic. I thought I was only going to get about 30 minutes worth of good content. And I do have a video that's coming out tomorrow about something that I listened and heard today, which I thought was very, very interesting. So I keep a lookout for it tomorrow, and it might have to deal with the PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card. Any chance we will get Collector Ambassadors on the channel as guests? Yes, and yes. We will have Claire's Lair on the channel very soon. I did tell her that she's going to be on the channel within July or sometime in August. I'm hoping in July. I do plan on getting Poke Trainer Jess on here as well. I do plan on getting Strictly Sealed as well. A lot of this stuff that's coming on this channel, we're going to be seeing huge changes. We are changing this podcast's name to the Vaulted Podcast very, very soon. I have the logo already in the works. The animation will soon follow suit after that, and it's gonna be awesome. And I have PokeRev's editor doing it all for me. So pretty stoked about that. I'm very stoked about that. And shout out to PokeRev for hitting 1 million subscribers today. Rev, I don't know if you watch this. You've been on the channel before, but if you do watch this, I congratulations on hitting such a massive milestone. I remember watching you at 2,000 subs where you were just showing like random knickknacks in the Pokemon hobby. I thought that was really cool. Maybe we'll see more videos like that in the future. Our other sponsors are Double Infinity Gaming. Double Infinity Gaming is an online card shop based in South Florida. Jewel and Willie are huge and really big about Magic the Gathering. And I know Magic the Gathering, I think, just came out with a collector set or something of the sort. I'm learning my Magic, guys. I watched a 30-minute video about the importance of the Black Lotus and why it's so valuable just like last week. So your boy's brushing up. I'm doing my research. I'm doing my homework. And it's going to be really awesome. Definitely go check out, Double Infinity Gaming. They will hook you up. These guys have huge cards at their disposal, as well as Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And other random TCGs. Our other sponsor is TCG Stadium. Jimmy's son is your guy to go to as far as modern Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Product. Make sure you go visit tcgstadium.com to find all your goods right then and there. I think the new Pokemon Go set is coming out. You might want to go check them out. I know it just came out in Japan, so it's been really cool to see the whole Ditto peeling thing. Those Pokemon cards where you get to peel the Dittos and get the Dittos out of it. It's a huge homage to the Bandai vending sticker series where you would peel the sticker off and you'd have a prism. That's a huge homage to that. I think that's massive. And our other sponsor is Kenley, a.k.a. the Pokemon Network. He is my one-stop shop, and I think it should be your one-stop shop of anything and all things Pokemon in terms of like slabs, because this guy has everything down to the most affordable slabs, down to the most high-end slabs, sealed product, you name it, even packs. Like, this guy has it all. He is a trustworthy person based in Dallas, Texas, I believe. I think Dallas, maybe somewhere close to Dallas. I don't know. He's that short guy with the Charizard costume on that goes woo a lot. Yeah, definitely go give him a look and see. And if you see him at shows, definitely stop him and talk to him. on that note, Collector has been it has been very helpful for me, and it's been very easy to use. Yeah, I fully agree. They really care. Loot took a pic of my Lucarios to add them to the database. Dude, that's awesome actually. Any chance we will get loads and loads of people on here. I have a really good relationship with Strictly Sealed. I've bought from him back in like December 2021. No, 2020. So like I have a good experience with the guy. I love to have him on the podcast. We will definitely shoot for Ruxin. I have a good relationship with Ruxin. There's a lot of big Yu-Gi-Oh guys that I want on the podcast here very soon. It's just all that's going to happen after the rebrand. On that note, I hope you guys have a good rest of the evening. I hope you guys had an enjoyable time tonight with me, and I'm glad that you guys took time to hang out. Make sure you hit that like, comment. Make sure you subscribe. This channel has like 20,000, almost 20,000 views within the past 2 weeks just because of shorts, which is freaking bonkers. The lifetime views of this channel is at 81,000. So literally within the past 2 weeks, I've gotten 25% of the views of the channel in just 2 weeks, which is mind-blowing. That's crazy. So, if you've seen the stuff that I've already posted on Instagram or TikTok, make sure you just rewatch it, watch the entirety of it. If you've already seen it before, make sure you give it a like, make sure you share it, send it to your friends, because it plugs in really well with the algorithm. And just on that note, I thank you guys so much. There's gonna be loads and loads of content coming soon. Stuff from Dallas Collecticon, stuff from Charlotte Collecticon. I'm finally home. I'm not traveling anywhere until New Jersey's national, and that's at the end of July. So I'm just super stoked to see what kind of content I put out for you guys. And on that note, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Again, to remind rest of the evening or day, wherever you are in the world, because I know we do have international viewers here. I hope that you guys stop by next Tuesday at 7 p.m. I know it's a little bit earlier than normal, but 7 p.m. we have Charlie Herlocker, guy that used to work with Lutkins, very guy that was just on Pawn Stars. He is a forefront of the hobby. We're going to have him next week, and it's going to be awesome. We're here to rock and roll every single day of the week. And just like any other Pokemon, we're here to evolve. So, see you guys on the next one, and peace out. Peace. I don't know why I kissed my fingers. Smooches for the homies. Yes, there we go. Smooches for the homies. Peace.